it's 1:30. We should call this meeting to order. June 18th, 2024 meeting of the Jefferson Transit Authority Board. Looks like we have a quorum of 6 out of 7. Vivian is traveling, so she might pop in. So, yeah. Public comment. Does anybody? No, I have a script for the first time that I'm actually using. So,
should we do introductions? Because we haven't been in person.
Should we do that? Yeah.
All been in person in so long.
Yeah. Ben Thomas, Port Townsend City Council.
Heidi Eisenhower, Jefferson County Commissioner and Ditch Digger.
John Miller, Port Townsend School District.
Kate Dean, Jefferson County Commissioner.
Greg Brotherton, County Commissioner.
Desiree Williams, Jefferson Transit.
Sarah Peck, Jefferson Transit Mobility Operations Manager.
Amy Hall, Jefferson Transit Fixed Route Operations Manager.
Miranda Nash, Jefferson Transit Finance Manager.
John Fleming, Jefferson County Public Works.
Nicole Bacchio, Jefferson Transit General Manager.
Jefferson Transit Equipment Board, Kelly Graves. Sven Smith, Office Assistant Customer Service.
All right. Online.
David Faber, Mayor of Port Townsend.
Jamie in the next room.
Jamie looks confused.
Can you hear us, Jamie?
I don't think she can.
We're just gonna hold.
Is she right there?
So crack the door open. All right. So Jamie's in the next room because she's going to be sharing the screen. So we should start with public comment. So I'll read the script here. So does any member of the public wish to give public comment? If you are online, please raise your hand. If you're on the phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Do we have? Well, I guess is Jamie going to be the one tracking that? Or okay. Is anybody online?
There are, but no one's raising their hand.
Now we've gotten some written public comment in, and Nicole, were we hoping to answer those or address any of the issues brought up there, or just have them in the packet?
We could do either. It's, I think, at the board's pleasure. We have several public comment today. I'm happy to respond to them if you like. If we do, I'd like to keep it brief because we do have a really full agenda that I have reviewed these and I do have responses.
I'd be interested in quick responses.
I would say that they're kind of written with a little extra vinegar. And I wish it wasn't the way they came in, but I think there's some really interesting topics brought up. So
and I thought I'd just stick with the facts. We did notice that they're out of order, so I'm going to respond to them as they are listed, not how they appear in the packet. So one of the first comments was a connection with the Clallam Transit Straight Shot. This has kind of been an ongoing request, is how do we make a connection with the Straight Shot? I've been speaking with Jim Fetzer, who's the general manager for Clallam Transit. We're both interested in finding a solution or a way to connect. I think we do have a few hurdles to overcome. On Clallam's side, they're a little bit hesitant because of scheduling. Jim has mentioned that it's really hard for that bus to stay on time, to hit a consistent schedule, whether that's construction on 101, whether it's the bridge, whether it's ferries. So making connections with the Straight Shot could be a little bit difficult. We're both in agreement that we need to find another place to make a connection besides Discovery Bay. It's not a good area to be making a connection. Crossing, making a left-hand turn for Jefferson, crossing, Highway 101. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be a barrier with high range of speed. It's all private property through there. We can't just be pulling into private property. That's not property that we maintain. So both agencies really feel like that's not a great area to be doing that. I think the other area that may work is at the visitor center. That also has some issues. I think one of those issues will be negated once the roundabout is in, because then we're not turning left in front of traffic. So it's something that both agencies are looking at. I also think with our comprehensive operational analysis, which we'll get to later in the meeting, will help us maybe kind of weigh some of the options. Is it better to make that connection? Is it better to add more Kingston runs? Where are we gonna get the most bang for our buck and what works best for us? So I'm hesitant about adding or creating something that I think we need to collect all the data before we make some of these bigger decisions, but it is something that's being looked at. Jim and I have been in discussions about this. Next comment was on
No,
bus.
can I ask a question on that one?
Yeah,
At Discovery Bay, isn't there a bus stop there? Is it a Clallam bus stop?
there is.
Okay, and
Eastbound.
that's on private property?
Well, to be making a turn and then pausing there for any length of time, it's not ideal.
Okay.
It's
And mainly-
actually a WashDOT stop for the Dungeness line that
Okay.
Clallam utilizes.
Okay, I just thought I'd seen a bus stop there, so that's why I was checking.
On the bus stop locations, the first comment was about our stop that's across from the Port Townsend Library. This person is frustrated with the wording because we say across from. They would like us to change that wording to maybe say Lawrence and Harrison. This is something that we're open to. We would need to make that change the next time that we're going out for printing of our schedules. It's very costly to print our schedules. So if we're making a minor change, when it comes time to reprint our schedules, that's the time in which we would make a change like that. There was also,
Was that, I thought she said it across from the fire hall, which
Right.
is, she was just saying better.
right, and I think we picked, at one point, probably none of us in this room picked a location and it felt like it was close to the library, because we do
Right.
have a stop at the library. Is it technically
More of a public landmark.
correct? Yeah, possibly not. Would it make more sense if we said the cross street or across from the fire station? Possibly. We'll look at that and, maybe we'll bring that before CAG and say what makes most sense. But that would be at our next printing that we would do that. There was also comments on the Lawrence and Taylor stop. I'd like to hold comments on that until we get later on in the packet, when we'll be talking about an agenda item that has specifically to do with that stop. Another comment was on our number 11 route. At one point, some of you might remember that our 11A and B shuttles would leave Haynes Place, go through downtown, come back to Haynes Place, pick up passengers or drop passengers off, and then go up Sims by the hospital, back down on 12th, and then end. So it was almost two little loops in one. That route was problematic for a whole host of reasons, but mainly it was hard for that route to stay on schedule if we encountered any delays going through downtown. That set us up to be late to then try to get up Sims and make that portion. Also, it really became apparent that we needed to be better servicing the Upper Sims Loop, and so that's another reason why we have a dedicated route for Upper Sims. And we do that once on the hour and on the half hour, and that's a well-utilized route. So it does mean that if someone is coming from downtown and would like to get to the hospital, they do need to make a stop at Haynes Place.
Is she accurate when she says 15 minutes, I think?
At times, if it can be that there's a pause at Haynes Place. The next one was, there was some discussion about our shelter at the co-op. We did make the change that she had asked as far as the map, and so it's easier to read now in that shelter stop. Another person also made comments on the number 11 and number 4, which were virtually the same as the previous comment. someone did write in about Jefferson Transit operating on weekends and holidays, mostly Sundays and holidays. This person was a little upset that we weren't operating on Memorial Day. Adding Sunday service, I think, is one of the kind of big discussion points in our comprehensive operational analysis. It'll be a big undertaking, not something that we're not happy to do or would not seriously consider. That might be the direction we need to go. But I think we need the data before we start looking at and talking about, well, which routes would we operate on Sunday? So we've added that to our database of service requests that we've received. So that'll be something that we're definitely looking at. Currently, our holiday schedule is something that's negotiated with ATU. We're closed on some major holidays, and it does happen to be a busy travel weekend, but I would say unless that's something that we're negotiating in the contract, for now that is something that we'll have to honor with ATU Local 587. Last but not least, public restroom hours. We have had vandalism in the restrooms. We are currently only opening those restrooms when we have supervisory staff down at Haynes Place. So when we have a presence at Haynes Place, leaving those restrooms unattended, it just leads to more work for us down the line, whether we're fixing things inside the restroom, covering up paint, drug paraphernalia, that kind of thing. Having someone on site to help monitor those restrooms is really important for us. And that's why we are still paying for the porta potty that's on our property, so that if our restrooms are not open, there is another opportunity for someone who needs to use those services.
Would it be possible to get signage? I feel like there was signage at some point that said that.
We talked about signage. I think one issue that we had is if at the time it was almost like if we put up signs and we're saying when we don't have staff on site to be watching over the premises, so we can look at signs.
Because it's the same, if it's the same hour, is it the same hours as the office is open, or is there there's supervisory presence other?
Yeah, we've been struggling with keeping that office open due to some staffing issues. And it varies. So right now we have 2 field supervisors. So on some days, they're there for 10-hour days. Some days it's 8-hour days. So it does kind of fluctuate. And then if one of them is gone, we don't fill that position. So there could be a Saturday where we don't have someone there. So it does kind of fluctuate a little.
I just wonder if people maybe don't notice the porta potty. If they, if that's closed, they may don't think to look.
If locked, check.
Right.
You don't say time.
It is in a pretty obvious location too, so it should be pretty easy for people. It's pretty centrally located. Out there.
I appreciate you answering all those. Nicole, and again, I know it was we're not worded to appeal to. But
It's
well,
still that
well
polite,
done.
the polite
And some of them
responses,
are kind of already being dealt with too, I noticed. So,
Ben, can I ask one more question? Do you mind? And I've long been an advocate for connecting with the straight shot, just as many regional connections we can make as possible. Would it be possible to do a smaller shuttle to connect with the straight shot so that it wouldn't be so difficult navigating the turnarounds and such? Or is a smaller, and what do you call them?
Cutaways.
Even smaller, I'm thinking,
Like a van?
yeah, just a shuttle. I mean, it could have been that move towards a more
I'd be
microtransit
able to
model.
hold suitcases, because it'll be something more,
Yeah,
the airport.
but a van, like the van pool, I don't know, just I would be surprised if it was 20 people wanting to connect, but it is such a good regional connector that it seems a shame, and I don't know, just thinking that could that be an easier that make the rendezvous point a little bit easier.
It might,
Still a challenging spot. It's hard to take a left. It's like right at the end of that, where you can take a right and take a left on the other side of it. But it is really, it would be a challenge even in a van to get where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that connection made. I think finding a better stop location seems like a good process though.
Because the westbound stop is further, it's across from your old store,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
what if it took a right there and then looped
That
around
would
the
be
store and then hit the,
Yeah, there's already a Jefferson Transit bus stop on the other side.
and then the eastbound?
On the eastbound
One
side.
lane at a time is much easier across the
Mhm.
road.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a future agenda or a police discussion.
Yeah,
point.
but if the straight stop could stop where the 8 stops.
So thank you, and I, just to the people that have written in, I as a non-daily rider of transit, it is really valuable to hear from public comment from the public who do rely on this service. They're not second-class citizens, nobody here thinks that, but somebody brought that up. Great, so, and if nobody else raised their hand in the meantime, right, online? Now, any new agenda items to add? All right, financial reports.
Okay, so we'll start off with our sales tax revenue. So these are the financial reports for April and May. For sales tax revenue in the month of February, sales tax increased 11% compared to February of 2023. For March, which was remitted in May, sales tax increased 16% compared to March of 2023. So sales tax is doing very well. So as of January 2024, Jefferson Transit does not collect fares on any of our current services, so we have 0 operating revenue. For our expense report, cumulatively, Jefferson Transit expenses for May 2024 are 6.5% under budget. Labor is 2.8% under budget. Diving into some of those sub-items in labor that we are watching, operator overtime for fixed route is 6.5% over budget. Operator salaries and wages for Dial-A-Ride is 16.3% over budget. Operators overtime for Dial-A-Ride is 44% over budget. And other overtime in operations that includes maintenance, dispatch, and customer service is 30.8% over budget. We're still seeing some staffing changes and training in the operations department, so we're hoping that levels out a little bit as we get fully staffed. I know we're training drivers and the new dispatcher as we speak.
I mean, is the commonality of the overtime that makes all
Yes.
those? Yeah.
For benefits, we are 6.7% under budget. Services and user fees, we are 21.8% under budget. Materials and supplies consumed is 11.5% under budget. Utilities are 2% under budget. Casualty and liability costs, which is our insurance, is 1.4% under budget. Taxes, 34.2% under budget. Miscellaneous expenses, 12.5% under budget. Our leases and rentals is 9.2% under budget. And our capital activity for May included our facilities maintenance building project, our third maintenance bay project, our climate action plan project, maintenance equipment to include the brake mate and the tax on that. We purchased that in April, so it was the tax that we had to pay. I also wanted to touch on our reserve transfers for 2023. You'll see that in the summary, the cash flow summary, we have some changes in our bank balances. Jefferson Transit Finance Committee reviewed the 2023 reserve transfers at the May meeting, and the reserve transfers were completed in May. The operating reserve is now at 100% funded, and this is in accordance with the 2024 operating budget. And as of May 31st, the dedicated, which is the committed grant match in the capital reserves, are 121% funded for our 6-year TDP capital improvement plan, and that is as of the 2022 capital improvement plan, as we are giving you our draft TDP today, so for 2023. And I have details if the board has questions about the reserve transfers. And that is my finance report for April and May.
Any questions?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, the same question I have all the time, so I wanna make, we made $1 million in May, is that how, am I reading it accurately? In income? Or is it 435,000?
Let me get it in front of me. I'm looking at numbers all day, I don't remember all of them. So, non-operational income is 892,000.
Net.
Yes.
It almost seems irresponsible. I know we've got lots of things going on, but I just,
Do you mean minus expenses?
Yeah.
No, the 892 is gross, and then
What's
the
the
operational
net?
expenses is 540,000.
so the net was at 435. Wait, where am I? I'm in the wrong place.
388.
I guess it feels like we should have buses on Sunday if we're gonna continue to make this much money. Or, that, I keep looking at that sales tax too and say, is that really reasonable if we can do everything we can and provide the same level of service? So I think there's some real fundamental questions I think we have to think as we look at this route survey and everything.
And I would say, we need some help in figuring out the best way to add the service. And we wanna do that in a really thoughtful way.
You can't find the staff, right? I mean,
Well,
there's
we
real
do,
constraints.
and that's something we've had a hard time getting around, is making sure that we're maintaining staffing levels, but also making sure that, we can really look at what routes are we currently operating, and are they the best routes for us to be operating? Can we be doing it in a more efficient way? If we're looking at adding on demand, where should we be doing that? When should we be doing that? What does that look like? I think we're on the cusp of doing that. But we just need a little bit of time, and on this packet, we have identified a consultant to help us do that, so that we
Great
can
name for the consultant.
start making that move towards adding some of this service. But it's a big undertaking, and when we're looking at adding Sunday service, we want to be thoughtful. Are we adding, what type of Sunday service are we adding? Are we beefing up our Monday through Saturday service? We have a clear need, I would say, on our number 1 Brennan run to be adding service there. We also need to be looking at vehicles for adding service in addition to our existing service. We don't have the fleet to carry out all of that service right now. So I think we're on the cusp of this group getting ready to ask for some big expenditures of the board. But we need to do that in a thoughtful way, and frankly, we do need a little bit of help really wrapping our arms around what does this community need, what does this county need, where should we be adding this type of service, where does it make the most sense? So we hear you, and I think that we're doing that. We might, it's not going to happen this year, but the goal is to get there. So what do we as an agency need to do in order to get there?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think just keeping the conversation open on these big strategic directions is will be important.
Isn't that the whole purpose of the transit development plan?
Well, we've had,
it outlines.
we're required to have one of those, and we've
Right.
had it before, and it hasn't had this, the impact,
The
I
effect,
think,
yeah.
that we can have with the
Right.
revenue to expenditures that we have right now. We can make big swings, or we can reduce taxes, we can do that.
Well, let's be careful with that, because if we reduce our sales tax, we have to give back our grant funding.
Anything below the 0.9?
Yes, if we reduce our sales tax, we have to go back to WashDOT, and they said that the move ahead funds, we won't qualify for.
Okay.
But fortunately, there's still a need for more service, so,
Yes.
so I think that's there. I mean, is a tag kind of like as an auxiliary unit here, is there anything that could be tasked to them that would help as part of this? These things might be slow moving.
I would say keeping them involved is gonna be really important. And as we do outreach, utilizing them to help with that. Some of the day-to-day tasks, no, I don't think that they can necessarily help with that. But I think just bringing them along and including them is really key. The tag group that we have right now, I think it's a really dynamic group, and they're providing a lot of insights and value to Jefferson Transit. And I think this group has really been open to hearing their suggestions and adopting some of those suggestions. And yeah, we're excited about utilizing them. Can they help with the day-to-day? Not really.
I think I've asked this before, but I'll just put it out there again. I know that when we talked about Where's My Bus, there wasn't funds to do it this year, and if we have this surplus, is it possible to move some of the funds up so that we could do that potentially a little sooner?
Internally, we've had discussions about our technology piece. But I will say, one area that I think this agency has really struggled with in the past is that we have come from a mindset of scarcity, and a lot of these folks here have a lot in their job duties, right? So not only are we managing day-to-day operations, at dispatch office customer service, but let's add, extra service, or let's develop a website, or let's create, a bigger social media platform. And at some point, something has to give. So we always go back to how do we continue to operate safely? How do we continue to keep service on the road? How do we make sure that we're meeting our basic needs and then build from there? And at times over the last 2 years, we've had to make sure that we're meeting those basic needs, which means that we don't have the time or the space to be doing some of these larger projects. I think, having some consultants come in and help us with the operational plan is going to be key. We've kicked around the idea of, can we hire a project manager to come in and really help us with our technology piece, whether that be making sure that we have a mobile app, that we have a Where's My Bus, that we can get new paratransit on-demand software. We can't launch those programs until we have the foundational technology piece. And just frankly, sometimes it feels a bit overwhelming because we just do not have enough time. I would say all of these people here do not work 40 hours a week. I can't remember the last time they worked 40 hours a week. It's usually 50, 55 hours a week. And so we hear you, but at the same time, there's a limit to what this group can continue to do. And when you hire a consultant, it doesn't mean that it's not work for us. It's still a lot of work. So I think we've been what I feel aggressive this year with our work plan, with the climate action plan, with the website, with the comprehensive operational analysis. We are acutely aware that if we do not get Haynes Place retrofitted so that we can have inline charging, all of these electric buses that we're purchasing are of no use to us. It makes it a lot more difficult for us. So that's, on our project list. We also have a phone system that's failing. So that's, kind of on our project list as well. And
I will say, we've talked about this in the finance committee when we were reviewing the reserve transfers, and this is a topic that the board has had and we've had discussions with at past meetings, is the amount in the capital reserve and the capital account. When we're looking, we've got major projects and expenditures that we're anticipating as we move forward over the next few years. You'll see in the TDP what that capital commitment looks like. We have some significant projects that we're thinking of. So when we're looking at our capital, we're looking at dedicated versus not dedicated. So think of those funds as committed. it's just a slow process on some of these projects that we're trying to undertake. So we've got third maintenance bay, we've got the new facilities maintenance building, we have Haynes Place redesign and construction. We've got a couple of bus orders in the works, and those projects are gonna make a huge dent in that. So, as we continue to move forward, that surplus is not gonna, I don't think it's gonna look as significant as it does, but we are looking at where's the best place to put this extra service that we wanna put in. And we're all really excited about the comprehensive analysis. Clallam Transit did it, and they were very pleased with the results.
Did
And
they
the
end
feedback
up,
that
did that end up yielding like more routes or more efficient like use of
There were great
routes?
things about it too, yeah.
Good.
That led to their on-demand that they're doing in Squim and in Forks, Hurricane Ridge, also changing the structure of some of their routes that were kind of meeting the needs. So yeah, and they have a phased approach, so they're still working on phasing in some of their items that were highlighted through that process.
Remind me of the timeline for that again, when we'll receive that information back.
So if the board approves it today, our goal is to have that COA done at the end of June next year.
Okay, I think we stepped in front of you, had a question earlier.
Yeah, although I've changed my mind about 6 times. Can I just put in a little plug again for in that comprehensive analysis, maybe I'm reminding myself as much as anything to just like be great to try to coordinate route schedules with the school athletics program, which is it's still a massive barrier
Thank
for
you for
kids
saying
who
that.
do not have parents that can drive them. They are not participating in athletics as a result, and would just be a really important gap to fill for Chimacum and Port Townsend schools.
I would echo that around the board here.
Is that also true in Quilcene?
They, it's because we
Yeah.
combined the school
The
programs
rivals.
for Jefferson or for Port Townsend and Chimacum. So that's the gap I'm hoping we might be able to use an existing route to
I've
fill.
heard significantly about that one. I was just wondering if it was true in South County as well.
Used to be true for medical appointments for athletic clearances, but now they have the clinic down there, so it's really not a problem down there.
All right, are we okay to move on to the meeting? We've got a nice slow start to the meeting.
All right, not much on the agenda, right?
I think there are some really good topics brought up. So
We got a bus to catch, man.
It's my responsibility to move this forward. So, does anybody want to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda for June 18th, 2024.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so unfinished business, the tag representation, Kate has been the tag representative. We wanted to hear what, if there was, if you want to continue, or do you want to hand it off to somebody, or?
I've really enjoyed it and would be happy to stay on. Just want to call out too, we got a great new member of the tag, we just
Yeah,
approved
some
it.
experience,
So
yeah.
I'm really excited to see. That said, my availability is sometimes constrained, so I don't know if if someone were really chomping to take over that appointment, I would happily give it up, but I really appreciated being a member.
I'm happy with you being a member, but anybody else want
I had
to arm wrestle?
I had a suggestion that we talked about at Finance Committee, but I again think you should continue doing it if you want, but I thought it might be easier to sustain that if we had like the vice chair as the tag rep moving forward after when you're ready to relinquish. And then that way we don't have to arm wrestle over who's gonna do it. It's just pretty apparent that when you take that role on, that's part of your role.
It's valuable because in that tag, knowledge is in there because we're doing these agenda meetings ahead of time before with just the chair and vice chair.
Makes great sense.
With this group, so then there might be something, it might
Sending the
inform.
vice president down to the border.
See how that works.
I will say when we reinstituted the tag, which became the tag, that there were two.
Well, nothing's stopping us from attending
Right,
it.
other than a quorum.
Yeah.
So we could consider implementing the vice chair.
If John was just also there, would that be an issue?
No, there's nothing that would prevent that. It's an open public meeting, and
No quorum.
yeah, it was really, and it was Ariel and I at first, and it was really helpful to have two of us also.
Yeah.
So
John, are you interested in?
I would do that. I need another meeting.
Right. Back to the old gang.
Great. So do we need to, we don't really, you just be doing it on your own, we don't really need to make a motion here, or do we?
I think since we're adding, maybe just for the good of the order, so we're covered, it might be nice to vote on it.
So do you want, I will move that we, add a second, member of the JTA board to the tag, and that person will be the vice president of the JTA board. Which is currently John.
Vice chair.
Vice chair.
Second.
Good. All in favor? Or anybody have any
Yes.
comments?
can I ask a question?
David?
I was gonna vote yes.
Voting, sorry.
Just I'm wondering if we want to call it a member, that would mean changing the is it bylaws for the tag?
What do you call it now, designee or?
Yeah. And do we have any other reason we're changing those bylaws, or do we just want to have like? I'm wondering if we want to be that official about it.
Staff could bring potential changes to the bylaws for the August meeting
Okay.
to make it for vice chair to sit plus an additional designee if we want to have two people.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
And or an additional.
Yeah, I was gonna say
disability.
maybe flexibility would be good. You know.
Do we need to change the motion to reflect that, or is it clear
I
enough?
don't think we even need to complete the motion, do we?
It's gonna come back in August.
Yeah.
Oh, well then, is that okay? Okay, all right.
And I'm confident that the tag will welcome more participation.
Yeah, I'm sure. The more their work
Draw my
is
second.
amplified, the better.
Withdraw my motion.
Great, so now we're on to new business. Item A, non-motorized access easement with Jefferson County. And we have a guest here, John Fleming, and so Nicole and John will present.
So I invited John to this meeting because we're just so excited about the collaboration between Jefferson Transit and Jefferson County on the Olympic Discovery Trail. So we just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the work that we've been doing, and that will lead into item B and C in your packets. We have a few changes that we'll need to make, but first we thought we would just start off by talking about the ODT and how Jefferson Transit is involved in that critical piece of connecting the ODT in the next phase. But John is really the resident expert on ODT in Jefferson County, so I'll let you start off. And did we want to put up the map up there?
Yeah,
Jamie, can you share the screen? Okay, thank you.
Howdy. So I'm usually stuck behind a screen, nonverbal, so if I trip over my words. So I've been in this position with Jefferson County as project manager for the Olympic Discovery Trail for 8-9 years now. It seems like a blink of an eye. We've been working on right-of-way acquisition for about 7 years on this next leg of the project. We acquired grant from the state to build this section in 2020. We expect 3 more miles to be added to the Larry Scott Trail. Even though it is an excellent standalone trail going from Milo Curry at South Discovery Road across from Adelma Beach, crossing State Route 20 safely with a facility that is similar to a school crossing. Ample warning at both north and south directions of the crossing, and a very flashy, visible warning sign that people are in the road. WashDOT currently has a 35 mile an hour advisory speed limit in that Four Corners South Discovery Road State Route 20 intersection, and they may bring that down to an official 35 in response to this crossing. Once we're here, this is like the hub of a wheel. This is an excellent multimodal, great place to meet. I've had many fun experiences in your park and ride. It's just a great place. You have a bike barn, we've got secure facilities. It's just a great place for landing and unloading and getting ready to experience the trail. The connection to SeaTac, the light rail, and then the ferry system, and then the bus system. The ferry system coming into Port Townsend, people coming across and riding Larry Scott down to this facility. This will become the hub of Jefferson County's Olympic Discovery Trail. So the next leg is bringing us south to Anderson Lake State Park, of which there's, I think, 9 miles of existing trails throughout that area, across the road to the south in DNR. And there is a trail system through the Jamestown Tribe property adjacent to the park that brings us down into the tri-area network of trails that we're continually expanding. It's a critical link because it's not just the local community we're serving. Though we're maybe 500 residents a day use the trail as measured in the Bohaven. We're part of the larger 130-mile trail system that extends out to La Push in Clallam County, and a 1,200-mile trail system from Glacier National Park in Montana, and that brings people over through the State Route 20 ferry system. And we've recently, with much help from commissioners, been awarded the designation of the Great American Rail Trail from Washington, D.C., of which over 50% is currently built. So it's a national, this is a nationally recognized trail. So it's been a county project for 35 years, and we've had, I think, 13 grants from RCO, Recreation and Conservation Office. So there's a lot of political will and community support, and we just can't build it fast enough. We've got excellent right-of-way staff right now, cost collect, put this paperwork together, and we've got 2 parcels that we're currently dealing with, and I'll phase into Nicole's presentation. We finally have good definition from Washington State Department of Transportation of where they want us to cross the highway. They had bumped us to the north a little bit, but that staff that had recommended that have all retired. So that was about 8 years ago when they told us to do that. Currently, they want us right at the intersection, so that conforms to the original easement. And we're modifying it a little bit to minimize tree disturbance, have a crossing at your current driveway, and then to keep a greater separation from the traffic on Four Corners Road, we're requesting a continuation of the easement that is aligned from the Park and Ride property over to the new property, and then we'd have a safe crossing ample distance from the State Route 20 intersection onto another piece of property that we acquired, a 12-foot strip on the south side of Four Corners Road to get another greater separation from the 40-mile-an-hour traffic on Four Corners Road.
Is that where that proposed easement box is, or?
So the yellow is new acquisition, and the Park and Ride property, we're looking to just revise the existing alignment. The spirit of the easement is being maintained. It's just that the infrastructure layout wasn't known at the time back in 2014 when it was raw land. So we're just trying to be flexible with that realignment.
And with our facilities building that we're building on 111, we have been working with the county to make sure that that building site allows for that easement so that the trail could continue along in that property.
So I'm moving it a little bit south or
Yeah,
east,
so we
southeast.
made sure, our building won't interfere with that easement, and we've been working with Colette and John just to really kind of make sure that where we place that trail, it won't interfere with us, but it'll allow for the safe movement of people and bikes and whatever on the trail, and then to safely cross Four Corners.
Whatever, meaning horses, because there's safety horses.
But just no horse trailers in our
So today we are considering approving the easement in red, is that correct?
So in 2014, in the packet, I kind of outlined a little bit of the history. There was an easement granted. Jefferson Transit committed to several different things when we did that. So creating a temporary trail and then building and maintaining the ODOT or the Olympic Discovery Trail as it would go through. We've had to kind of amend where that easement is. We've also been working with the county because we're not trail builders, and I don't think we want to be
No.
trail builders.
The original agreement had Jefferson Transit constructing and maintaining the trail per the county's standard at the time of construction. We are now amending that agreement to have the county do the construction along with the other portion of the trail, and we will pay for it.
Given all the tools.
We have a few big construction projects going on right now, and I think our focus is on getting those completed. And we want to make sure that we're in line with the county's timeline on when they want to get this section complete. So if they're here doing it, we're gonna let them build it to their standard and efficiency wise, I think having their crews come in and do it while they're here is our best option of getting it done to their specifications. It looks correct, it looks the same from when you cross the road, and it'll get done a lot quicker.
And then it will continue on to the 111 property as well. So the difference between these two documents is that the original easement, we had a commitment to pay for, to do the construction, the maintenance, and at cost to Jefferson Transit. In the new easement, the county is purchasing that easement, and then the agreement is that they will build and maintain. So we are paying for the 63, they're doing the construction. For 111, we're granting the easement and they are doing the construction. So no cost associated with the 111 portion, just the 63 portion.
And the amended easement before us today includes both 63 and
There's
111?
there's two different documents.
Yeah, so the 63 Four Corners, it's the amended access easement, and then for 111, it's just grant of easement.
And I can add that the yellow is being purchased, so the county Public Works is cutting a check to Jefferson Transit for that at market value for easements.
All seems great. I love hearing John talk about what the critical hub that the parking ride is going to be in this multimodal transportation. I think that's the way I see it too. So I think there's a lot of decades of vision that goes into this. It's great to see.
I think that's really
The
exciting.
agencies working together. So yeah, lovely.
Still only see the one.
So there's two.
Okay.
B,
Alright, okay.
the C,
Yeah,
111.
2411 and 2412.
Unless there's more conversation, I'm happy to move to approve the resolution 2411, authorizing the general manager to sign an amendment to a public non-motorized access easement for 63 Four Corners Road.
So I'll second.
Any other discussion? David? He's ready to go. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's like unanimous vote.
And can I make another motion?
Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
I'll move to approve resolution 2412, authorizing the general manager to sign a grant of easement for 111 Four Corners Road.
Katie second that.
Seconds, all right.
Kind of jumping all over this.
Just to keep it in within this section, I do have a question about the crossing.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not the right meeting for it, but since you brought it up, the flashing lights. I sometimes get concerned about somebody's taking a right turn, they're going west, taking a right turn, and the bike going the same direction would be looking for the same slot in traffic. And is there a way? Are they going to be able to see
So you're talking westbound?
westbound? This map's kind of
From
upside
Four
down.
Corners Road
Turn
onto
north.
South.
Yeah, heading towards the Milo.
Right.
So they're
So there's gonna be modifications to State Route 20 southbound. Currently, there's a deceleration lane. It's not marked, it's not painted, but it's flared. And that intersection was rebuilt in 1985. It was a county project in cooperation with the state.
I remember when it
And
was
there's
new.
some huge conifers in the way. If you go eastbound, is if you were on the trail, it's all brush right now, we'd have that all cleared. And you look north, you can only see 150 feet or so. You need to see closer to 400 feet.
Right.
So there's a couple trees that DOT said no cut when the private lot, corner lot was logged years back. They said leave those trees. So now it's going to be a part of our project to remove I think 2 of those trees would free up ample sight distance for somebody stepping out into State Route 20.
Right, and I guess what I should say is that it's the right turn onto 20 going north with a car. I just had this experience at Discovery Bay ribbon cutting the other day. I rode off my bike and I almost got hit by a car because I was coming. It's a double lane bike lane, and they weren't expecting to look right for a bike coming, so they pulled right in front of me. It's like, oh, person through officially.
Right. Wow. That would be.
It can happen when people aren't used to turning their head to the right. They're always looking left. See if they can.
No, it's a massive contributor to bike injury in the state.
Yeah, just they wouldn't expect it, but
Yeah.
I just could see that possibility. Anyway, so that's a diversion, and we're still behind on time, so I'll call the vote.
I'll just say, even in four-way stops, that's a major. Even when they're in stoplights, like that is consistently a problem.
Okay.
Washed up tracks.
Hopefully, we have no problems here. They love the trail. All in favor?
Aye.
Got aye on there, and I say aye, so unanimous. So that's that. John, thanks for coming. You sounded like natural in the room. All right, so now we're on to item D, resolution 2413, left turn, right turn contract, comprehensive operation analysis.
So, as the board knows, the first time we put out an RFP for a consultant, we received no respondents. So this was our second attempt at putting out this RFP, and we were pretty excited about our 2 candidates that we received response from. The first was Dan Tech and the second was Left Turn, Right Turn. We did have a committee to help score these, and Commissioner Eisenhower also submitted scores. We did reference checks, so we did our due diligence to make sure that whoever we were working with had a good reputation within the transit world. So we have landed on Left Turn, Right Turn. We had our first scoping meeting with that group. They're very excited. They have a lot of experience with rural transit, both in the United States and in Canada. And that was really key for us as far as understanding the differences between a rural agency and an urban agency. We have a lot of differences. We have a lot of ground to cover. What does it look like when operations are spread out. So we're pretty excited about working with this group. They're excited about their trip here. One of their first tasks will be to have several members of their team come out and really understand Jefferson Transit. So they'll be writing our routes and really getting to know Jefferson Transit and our system, so that they can use that as a foundation before starting to do their work. So we are putting before you this resolution to authorize me to sign a contract with Left Turn, Right Turn, so that we can start this process.
I love a consultant that's named like a Dr. Seuss book, so.
Yeah, that is very fun.
Where are they from, Nicole?
They're based in Toronto.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve resolution 24-13, allowing the general manager to sign a contract with Left Turn, Right Turn for a comprehensive operational analysis.
Second.
Second there. Any more discussion on this?
That's great.
No, it was an interesting review process.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
All right.
Reference checks are important, people.
Yeah, interesting. All right, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Thank you. So I'll skip one here. Item E, resolution 24-14, Desco AV purchase order, and boardroom upgrade. Sounds nice.
Now that we're using it.
Oh, is that why you invited us?
That was kind of even from my side. I'm like, well, we should all know what the context is.
So Kelly has been leading the project on how do we get this boardroom up and fully functioning. We have some issues currently with the boardroom. We have a projector that doesn't work. Our screen works, but our projector does not. All of our systems aren't talking to one another, so we aren't able to use the equipment in the locked closet there. So we can't run videos, our training videos. Our camera needs to be, it wasn't designed for this. It really was a kind of a Band-Aid. When the governor said you have to,
Right.
record and provide virtual meetings. This was our $1,000 option, and it's worked, but it's not great. Our wall panel doesn't talk with everything. Our sound system doesn't work. When Kelly and I had done a little bit of research last year in preparation for the board or the budget, we allocated $50,000 to upgrade the boardroom. And we went out and got several quotes, and none of them were for $50,000. The most recent quote that we got with the company that we really do prefer came out to about $62,885. We had discussions about whether or not we attack this boardroom issue in 2 phases. But we're coming to you with a request for the ability to spend all of this money at the same time and just get the whole project done. Another aspect of this project is Kelly is using a laptop. We need to get her a proper setup, maybe in the corner where she can have multiple screens. Right now she's not able to share her screen, hence Jamie in the other room who can share the screen. So there's just what we need to be able to do is have a proper setup in this room so that we can run a functioning public meeting. And right now we've kind of band-aided it together, but it's really not working for us. So we have we're asking for authorization to move forward with this professional services agreement. We will be at the almost end of our new business asking for a capital budget adjustment. But we are asking for me to sign a professional services agreement with them, and also we will be later on asking for a capital budget adjustment to move from $50,000 to $75,000, just in case we encounter some other issues.
Quick question, does that include upgrading the Wi-Fi.
Yes, we would be able to upgrade our Wi-Fi because that's, I think, a key component to having a public meeting is being able to, access the internet.
And we're still working with Daily on a contract basis, is that right?
We are, so Daily Computers is still our contracted IT. We have not gone with them on this project because they are not EV experts and they have
We have
said as
consulted with
much.
them and they have told us that this is probably our best route in
That's
getting
good.
this route done, so.
And in terms of like maintaining it going forward or problem solving, would they be able to help?
Yes, so we're including them in the process, so once we,
So they're
once
not
we
gonna be like,
sign, no, they'll be able to offer some support, but also this company will be able to offer support as well.
With the city, we've had a lot of, it's taken months and months to try to figure this out, so.
Similarly, and sorry, we're keeping more and more onto this one agenda item, but is there any thoughts about how to improve the cell service here as well? I know the building is particularly challenged, but I used to try to use the electric car chargers and that had a connectivity issue. And if we talk about this really becoming a regional hub for transportation, not having having really inadequate cell service is a pretty big barrier to that.
I can kind of respond to that. So we have actually tried to boost cell service here. We worked with Verizon, don't ask me what the device is called. It's some sort of plug-in device that's supposed to help boost internal signals within the building. And we have actually replaced those chargers that used to be out there. So was it last year in the capital budget? Those are new. They're
And they're
different.
working?
And they do work. So the chargers.
100% of the time.
Right.
I mean, there's still issues that sometimes they'll go offline for a little while, and we get them going back on again.
So the connectivity, I'm not sure if it's anything Jefferson Transit can do. We've had them come out and do testing on our connectivity, and it has something to do with tower arrangement. So I'm not sure if there's really anything we can do.
Can you lease for a tower? I mean, if it's pretty chronically bad here, and I ride the trail a lot, so I'm familiar with the dead zones. And
Not be using your phone when you're riding by.
how do I
Teach
post
this to
on
my daughter.
on my Instagram? But yeah,
I think it's something we'll continue to explore, but we have done some research on it, and internally, at least inside the building, we weren't able to boost anything based on the way the towers are angled and where we are at, where this property sits. So
I will say staff is highly productive because we do not
A feature, I like it.
But when you said that, I'm wondering if maybe there's something that we could do with the PUD, if there's some kind of partnership. I know that during the pandemic, they had offered Wi-Fi boosted areas. This is a little out of my realm. I would need to talk with someone who knows.
Can we suggesting like hosting an actual tower?
I don't know. I don't know if those conversations have been had with Verizon, but I mean, it could be a safety issue out here. If somebody gets stranded here and can't call for help or find out when services or call for a ride, or it's. I have been totally unable to get service in this parking lot, and it just the more it becomes a hub, it worries me that.
Yeah. Kate and I are on the Fairgrounds board, and Fairgrounds is working with Verizon to hopefully put a tower there, and it does seem like.
Does it depend on your provider? Because I have two different providers, and
Yeah.
Verizon's great. And, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's not even that.
Yeah, AT&T is not.
Yeah, I got nothing.
SOS.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Did you
SOL.
say that you've had luck at the fairgrounds with
Well, I mean,
Verizon?
They reached out to
Working
us.
with, they reached out to the counties, so it's great, but, I mean, it's gonna take a while. It's not like it turns on right away,
But they did it because there was no service out there, so they're trying to fill their grid. So I mean, I think there's an opportunity for a conversation. I don't know how to initiate it.
I mean, we're in contact with this broker. If it's of interest, like, we could just say, hey, would you be open to having a conversation with Transit?
And you probably have less zoning issues out here, like in town, there's only a certain amount of spots you could host it, but.
Yeah, the school district actually gets income from a sub provider for the tower that's on top of the Lincoln building, so maybe you guys could have a revenue source.
And so does the land trust on Shellingham Ridge, so.
Great, well, are
Sorry.
we? No,
Business of
yeah,
the-
it's been a rambling meeting, but I think we're behind the prescribed schedule, but we billed this meeting to go to 3, and we're stuck here till 3:30 now, so.
I make a motion to approve resolution 24-14, a resolution to authorize the general manager to sign a professional services agreement with Desco AB.
Second that.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. All right, item F, resolution 24-15, 2024 capital budget adjustments.
Okay, there's been a few items on the agenda that we've asked for additional budgeting for, and this is the conclusion of that, except for I think we have one more.
Is it possible for us to
Swap.
switch G and F?
Oh, yeah, we
I
are.
think it makes more sense.
Somebody else
to
do that?
Yeah. 'Cause I
Any
was-
objections to switching?
No.
No, let's go ahead.
Yes, we're gonna hear about this.
This kind of addresses one of the issues with the public comments.
Yes. So, just for a little bit of context, I did include just a little information about this project. But the area that we're talking about is Lawrence and Tyler Street on our number 11 route. It was brought to our attention through Dash late last year that the stop that we currently have on Lawrence and Taylor was difficult for individuals with mobility devices. If you're familiar with that area, it's a stop that's kind of at the bottom of a fairly steep incline. So individuals who are dropped off at that stop, if they want to reach Aldridge's or Farmers Market or any of the businesses, they do need to make their way up a fairly steep incline. We met with Jefferson Transit, met with the city and with Dash to kind of think about some different options as far as a transit stop. There's some things, that we were considering. One of their requests was, can you move it right in front of Aldridge's? That was a little problematic for 2 reasons. First, you would be removing parking spots for that business, and second, you would be having that bus stop directly in front of a crosswalk. So the crosswalk would be directly in front of the bus, and we try not to do that. That's a safety hazard. We had talked about moving the bus stop, so once you cross through that intersection, one of the issues that we faced there was there's an awning from that local business that comes out and is almost flush with the sidewalk, and that makes it difficult to pull in and out of a transit stop there because of tail swing, mirrors. It's a hazard. Steve King, who was also at the meeting, suggested, he and Laura Parsons suggested that we do or have a bulb out from that curb. The city is in the midst of a project on Lawrence Street repaving and some on Tyler as well, and they were going to be providing some upgrades for curb cutouts, making it easier for individuals with mobility devices to access that the curb and the crosswalk. So we had been discussing that. The city had said that they were going to go out for an ACAC grant. We helped with that grant application. Ultimately, the city was not successful in obtaining that grant. However, the need is still there, and it is much easier to build a transit bulb out stop now when they're working on the paving and already doing the sidewalk construction project. Typically, Jefferson Transit does not pay for sidewalks, and this, I would not consider this to be a sidewalk. I would consider this to be a transit stop. The city has indicated that they will do the construction work with their team to construct the transit stop. They are requesting that Jefferson Transit pay for this transit stop. In the report that I provided, we did include a breakdown of the costs, and rounded up, it comes to about $35,000 to construct that transit stop. It's a lot for one particular stop. However, our shuttle route isn't going anywhere. It's the most effective and efficient way to move people through the downtown, uptown area. So even if we were to change a route, that transit stop will be useful to us in the years to come. It also allows for an in-lane stop, so it acts as traffic calming as well through that area. And again, it's a much safer way for us to both embark and disembark passengers who are especially needing to use the ramp. It's also, as you know, really close to the farmers market, so helping people have access to the farmers market and restaurants and businesses, Holdridge's, and the senior center. So Jefferson Transit staff is asking the board to consider authorizing me to reimburse the city up to a not to exceed amount of $40,000 to construct the transit stop on Lawrence and Tyler.
So the addition that we're adding is the bulb out, or basically.
Or isn't it just extending the current planned bulb out?
There was a small bulb out planned, very small.
Just for the crosswalk.
But yeah, this would be much larger, and it would accommodate the length of the bus. So it's a much larger project.
It's a new word for me too.
It's when
Bulb out is
Bulb
a
out.
word. I didn't know. I knew I've seen them before. I didn't know what they were. I can see they're also called neck down sometimes, which I like
I
too.
haven't heard that one.
Yeah, curl extension. That's pedestrian.
It's been long asked for, the general bulb out. It's been long asked for by Dash. Would we ever think about putting a shelter there, or, on that?
It's a funny area, because it has that big awning. I'm not sure that a shelter would fit there.
It might be somewhat redundant since there is.
There is the awning.
I think it's a really critical stop on our circuit, and I think it's, the center of uptown, really, and so I think improving that service, I know we're setting a precedent that we haven't done before, but I think it's well worth it, because I think it's a really important stop, and I think for people with limited, physical capabilities, that walk up the hill is kind of significant, so I think this is definitely an improvement.
And how many parking spots are we, the two? It kind of looks that way in the picture.
It looks to be about 2. This is the city's drawing.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how many spots will be displaced.
Right.
I was gonna let the city handle that.
Yeah, sure.
So you're saying the bus will stop in the lane, not, would they pull into the bike lane there, or?
Probably, like we're doing down on Water Street.
Okay. I've been hit in this intersection, and so I, anything traffic calming is appreciated.
Do you want to make a motion?
I have to scroll up. Yes, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-17, authorizing the general manager to pay the city of Port Townsend for the construction of a new transit stop. We specify up to $40,000.
Yes, not to exceed.
Not to exceed $40,000.
Happy to second that.
Very
I've
good.
also been hit in town on my bike.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just want to note, I think this is a fantastic move, and I want to echo what John said.
But have you been hit?
Yeah.
I have been hit not at that corner, but I've been hit twice in town.
To fix all these quirks. This is one help, I think. So, all in favor?
I
Great. Passes unanimously again. Great, let's go back to F now.
Okay,
As
so,
introduced, I guess I should just anybody's listening along, or 20 capital budget adjustment.
okay, so, 2415. So we have three different, resolutions that the board has passed today that would affect the capital budget. Two capital projects, have been added to the capital budget. This is resolution 2411, and resolution 2417. So resolution 2411 dedicates, $100,000 per our amended agreement with Jefferson County for the ODT construction at 63 Four Corners. And then the 40,000 for the Tyler and Lawrence bus stop bulb out project in resolution 2417. The third item is an amendment to the budget that we passed in December for 2024, and that is the boardroom AV, which has been increased by 25,000, not to exceed 75,000. To account for the additional costs in repairing and updating the AV system in the boardroom at the Four Corners administrative building. This is an increase of 165,000, amending the 2024 capital budget. So we are asking the board to approve this amendment.
Move to approve resolution 2415, amending the 2024 capital budget on these items we've previously discussed.
Second. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? I think it's already more or less been discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Great. Now we're on to the draft item H, draft transit development plan, aka the TDP. To refer to it. And Jamie, who starts?
I will kick it off. So this, the 2024-2029 Transit Development Plan is part of a requirement to WashDOT. We have to update these plans every year. This year, we have completely scrapped the old plan. We have built this plan from the ground up. So we really wanted to change the way we presented and communicated information from previous TDPs. So there is no red line version of our TDP this year. It is completely redesigned. We've rewritten it, restructured it completely, and we're opening it up for public comment and feedback on our plan. Again, the transit development plan, and if we included this in the introduction this time. What is the TDP for? Who is the TDP for? So really, this is it is a step in our grant funding process. It is where we come and outline the projects and the initiatives that we would like to complete in the next 6 years. These are the items that we communicate to WashDOT. It shows, it tells WashDOT what we've done in the previous year, what things have changed, what we've accomplished, what we plan to do in the future. This document is really important for when we go to ask for grant funding, because if we ask for grant funding for projects that are not in this document, WashDOT is going to likely say no, come back when you've actually planned for that project. So this is, for lack of better terms, it's our wish list moving forward. What does Jefferson Transit plan to do? How does it plan to expend its funds? What does that cash flow look like? You know, we really worked hard over the last 2-3 months redesigning this, and kind of rethinking about how we wanted to present and communicate our capital improvement plan, what we've accomplished over the last year. And we're really excited about how our TDP document turned out. So, Jamie, do you want to add anything?
I would just like to add that this is kind of felt like a I don't know, a big lumbering, clumsy document in the past, and I'm really excited about our new version that we've redesigned. And I do want to just give Kelly Graves a shout out for making this beautiful, because you have been able to do what I have not been able to do with this thing for the past 5 years, and it's great. I think it reads a lot easier. In our table of contents, if you look through, we have annotated what are required elements by WashDOT, and then where we have maybe elaborated on those and added more information. But overall, I just think it's a really nice, clean, easy to read document now. And of course, we would invite any feedback that any of the board members or any of the public has on that until our public hearing that we have on this next month, where we'll take comment and then close the hearing on it until adoption in August. But yeah, we're just very excited.
Sometimes it's worth shaking that sketch and starting over.
I really appreciated it when I got into it, especially the pages, the 15 on the planning pages, because I felt like they were really dynamic and I could easily, I love that there's the community requests are right there and featured the way that they are. And I'm imagining, it's not clear to me how this is responsive necessarily to the community requests. Like, we have the community requests, but there isn't like a through line to unless it's unspoken.
The comprehensive operation analysis should.
Reading through the document, that's really where we're centering this next year. So this document is updated every year. So by this time, when we come into 2025 to 2030, and that is 6 years if you count the year you're in. But this time next year, that is going to be really important to how we've responded or how we plan to start implementing, and looking at how our operational funds are going to be expended over the coming years. So right now, we wanted to highlight what those community requests are, what we're going to be looking at when we go to conduct that operational analysis.
Cool. Glad I decided to run for re-election so I get to be at the table for another 4 years.
I'll just echo, I think it looks really good. I'm excited to really dive into it, but it looks great that I do see Kelly, as we talked about, you're changing the colors. The red's gonna be gone soon in the logo, and the yellow, I know.
The
It's
yellow.
definitely a blue. There's no yellow, there's no red either, I don't think. It's all blue. But
We're
it's
gonna
just,
keep some red, because we've got all these red shelters. They're adorable.
But it looks really good.
Red for this document seemed angry. We're not angry.
And I do want to highlight the CIP budget projections for capital improvement plan. Take a look at, we have our expansion and preservation schedule. The major projects that we have on the docket are listed in that CIP. We're looking at our total capital expense, and then we have anticipated grant revenues for every year, and then we have our anticipated capital reserve used. When you're looking at the reserve and fund balance, those capital reserves include the deductions. So the cash flow it's not going to be 100% accurate. These are all estimates of what revenues versus expenses are going to look like. I will say that coming into this year without having those operational analysis and what our operating may look like in the coming years, this is going to probably change significantly when we come to do the next TDP.
I have a general comment, and I'm not sure where this fits, but it seems like it's related to this, and that's just that I have a vision that in the future there'll be a closer relationship between school transit and Jefferson Transit, and I'm not sure how to guide that through this process that we're working on, but I do think there are benefits to all of us to be working more closely together, since we're kind of all in the transit business. And it seems like, rather than a lot of redundancy in terms, especially as we talk about electric buses and the infrastructure to be able to do that. It seems ridiculous that, each school district and Jefferson Transit are gonna spend $1 million for the infrastructure to charge buses. So, I just wanna put that out there and say that I'm gonna continue to ask those questions and push us in that direction, because I think that's an important consideration for us as we do long-range planning. And when I look at your little spoke diagram of all the transits you relate to, school districts are not on that, even though they're also in the transportation business. So I don't want to derail us too much, but I just want to make sure that we start thinking about that.
I think it's a great point, and going into the comprehensive system analysis, I think the board is going to be heavily involved. We hope you're heavily involved, and so when we go through the process, I think that when we're collecting feedback and input, that's going to be a major part of it. And I will say that talking about maximizing our county resources in terms of making sure that things are integrated. The RTPO has been a really great resource for exploring how services and things can connect. And I don't know if the school district attends those, but
They're not members.
no. Oh, okay. Well, I've
It's
maybe
the regional transportation planning.
I don't want to invite you, but
I could just did.
and that's one of the things that we talk about at our PRTPO is coordinating and maximizing county resources, and I think that they're going to also be a really good and strong resource when we conduct our comprehensive analysis.
And thinking about transit planning and route planning, how do we better serve the whole community? It was interesting, last night we were part of the climate action plan, we held a focus group for youth.
Yeah.
It wasn't wildly successful. I think we had 4 bots and 1 actual student. So I think we might try to give it a whirl again in September. But the individual that was providing, the actual person who was providing us feedback, I was a little surprised because he said that a lot of students are driving to school. And I was kind of under the impression that younger people weren't getting their licenses at, like when I was 16. I mean, I was at the DMV on my 16th birthday, and I felt like maybe that wasn't a trend that was still ongoing. And so we started digging in and asking questions like, well, what would help you get out of your car, or help your your fellow students get out of their cars. So some of those conversations were good. But
Can you make the buses cool?
I mean, I did say that.
I'm just telling you, that's right.
I think they're cool.
But that is something that I think we need to think about, and I think we can really think outside of the box. Is do we have a special route that runs September through June?
Yeah. I mean, I think Kate's comment earlier about kids trying to get to sporting practices, and the bus routes don't match up well with that. And I know that the athletic director from the school has kind of talked with you guys a little bit about that, but I think that's an opportunity to really increase our ridership and really serve the community. And so how do we...
A new generation of
Get them used to riding the bus for sports. And then,
how do we, take those things into consideration as we, especially when we're talking about expanding services, how do we make sure that we've thoughtfully included youth in that plan?
And I've gotten a ton of input from school board members about that.
I just want to say, John, this is why we wanted a school board member on, just to really do that forefront.
Yeah, plant
So
that
thank
flag.
you for presenting. Okay.
It also comes out a lot in South County.
Yeah.
Every high schooler in Quilcene and Brennan drives to school because the buses don't run at the right times, and especially with athletics, football practices in Quilcene run till 8 o'clock at night. No bus is running to Brennan at 8 o'clock at night. And that's all there is to do in Quilcene is sports, and you can't take the bus to sports.
Well, thank you for letting me
Yeah.
So, Kelly, can you remind me what the date for our special meeting?
July 16th.
So we are collecting public comment on our TDP until our July 16th meeting, and so we invite the community to provide feedback and input. And, we're open to constructive criticism on this document. Be nice that we virtually.
It looks great. It looks great.
All right. Any more to add? Okay. This is exciting. We got item I, JTA Employee of the Year. Who's this?
So every year, Jefferson Transit awards an Employee of the Year. This employee is recognized at the State Transportation Conference in August. This year, Jefferson Transit has selected 2 employees. The first is Cheryl Loran, who is our APAR person. And Cheryl has been with us for 11 years.
What's APAR?
Accounts payable, accounts receivable.
Thank you.
And Cheryl really she's so meticulous about every signature, every initial, every date, every detail, and she really does keep us in line, and we just really appreciate her. She always goes above and beyond. If she sees something that needs to be done, she just handles it. But she really is instrumental in, I think, our success, especially as we're entering the audit season. We really do rely on her to make sure that that all of our ducks are in a row, and she just does a tremendous job. So she was one of our honorees. The second is Christina Norman, who is a dispatcher. She came to us 2 years ago, and she has really been instrumental in helping us maintain a little bit of consistency within the dispatch department. She helps with training. She moonlights as a Jeff Palm dispatcher as well, so she came to us with a lot of experience. But she has great ideas, great suggestions. We have been short-staffed in the dispatch department. She's worked a lot of extra hours, and she's done so with a smile on her face and hoping to keep the morale of drivers up as well. So we've really appreciated her. So 2 folks will be nominated, and they will each get a parking spot for a year right out front, and their pictures will be on our wall.
So also, as Employee of the Year, it's kind of a double, we double down on this. Employee of the Year is also our Wall of Fame nomination, so when we go to state conference, they get recognized by the WISTA board and members of WashDOT as Wall of Fame honorees.
Is there a limit on how many Wall of Fame honorees we can have? I remember last time, some of the groups brought up like 20 people.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that the
But it's
bigger
good to
the
be selected.
agencies, the bigger the nominations get.
Okay.
So they might say, hey, every department adds someone, and sometimes the groups are like 15 people.
Yeah, they're teams.
I'll just say, as Greg and I, we both went to the transit conference last year, and if anyone is contemplating it, it was really a valuable experience.
If you are contemplating it, please let Kelly know immediately.
Did someone take the spot? You budgeted for one, right? Do you have any board
You
members
missed
going?
the early bird discount.
Yeah, we missed the early bird, but if someone is interested, let us know right away. We can. I don't. It's not a matter of getting or being registered. It's a matter of finding a hotel room. So let us know right away. A little birdie did tell me that I think in 2025 this conference might be at SeaTac, and that might be an easier sell. I know Kennewick is pretty hot and far, but
And it is the smoky season, so I've been down there where you can't see 10 feet from your face.
That sounds good.
Either you don't want us to go because you don't want the board to say.
I actually don't get to go this year, so.
Wow.
we rotate. But and I did drag Heidi along to several sessions, and it was really It was
Oh yeah,
it was
no,
really
too.
good.
I feel like I was assigned a handler actually.
I'm still I'm contemplating dropping in on the trade show part because that's what they do. They don't charge it.
Glad that.
Another errand. So congratulations to Cheryl and Christina. And we're ready for some reports. Right, General Manager report.
Okay. So I will keep this nice and brief.
Yeah, we're only 20 minutes behind.
Yeah, we're all overall, lots going on. This past 2 months, we're really excited about the operational analysis. So thank you again for passing that. I'm just really excited to just get started. I think we have our first scheduled meeting the first week in July, so we're gonna get after it really quickly. I don't want to touch on our projects, some of our projects, because Des is gonna be talking about our construction projects. Climate action plan, we are rolling right along. We did have our survey open from April 19th to June 7th. Still awaiting to kind of see what the results of that survey were, but we had a good healthy turnout. So we're excited about that. Peak Sustainability will be addressing the TAG group at the meeting in 2 weeks, so that'll be nice. Again, our youth focus group didn't go great, but I think we have some ideas for how to improve that come the fall. Laura Tucker was on the call, and if you know Laura Tucker, she gave us some suggestions for how to improve attendance. Kelly has been moving right along on the website redesign project. Lots of hard work just to get everything ready to hand off to Civic Plus. You know, she sent an email out to the working group, just kind of about our status and kind of the overall look and feel of the design. So we're pretty excited about that. Before Kelly leaves today, we are going to get our PO into Desco AV so that we can get in line for the boardroom, and we're just really excited about that. It most likely won't be done until September, so come October, I think it'll be a better functioning room. But we're also kind of excited about inviting other groups in to use our room. And when I was at the meeting in Port Ludlow, was it last week? Felt like a lifetime ago. I was thinking, oh man, wouldn't that be nice to invite that group here and have a working boardroom? So hopefully.
Can I ask one question? You're not going to take away the acoustic treatment on the top, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, that's going to stay.
It's really nice.
But
It's
the
good. It's great for
sound system does not work, so.
And it's quiet.
So the speakers still work. I don't know that we'd have to
Yeah.
change those. I mean, I'm not an AV person, but hopefully they can kind of reuse some of the existing.
Yes, we will keep this together. It's a nice look. Yeah, so I'll turn it over to Amy.
Right on. I want to bring up the operational analysis, the comprehensive thing. I was a driver back in 2016. I worked in dispatch, and I'm so excited. And then also I told Nicole I'm terrified because I think this is just going to be a major thing, and I'm really excited about it. Sarah and I have met with Bob Collins, the Director of Construction, Land and Strategy with Habitat for Humanity. We are keeping on his plate as far as thinking about dial-a-ride access and a bus stop with the Mason Street project. I attended and Heidi was there, the Habitat for Humanity's Mason Street update. That is a super exciting project. That is nice. Bob has been very open to ideas about making sure there's access for dial-a-ride in the back, and then also a bus stop maybe on Mason Street. I am also collaborating with Sam Harper, the wastewater project manager with Jefferson County, about the phases of the sewer project, and it affects our tri-areas. So she's great about reaching out about now the next phase is going to begin that affects different bus stops. I coordinated with Steve at the Gateway Visitor Center when they started that project on State Route 104 and 19, closing that down for the roundabout, making sure that they had signage up to let people know where the temporary stop is for the Kingston Express.
Can you say where that is? I don't actually know.
Breaker and Acre Lane in Port Ludlow.
Okay. So you're going to Paradise?
Yeah, just didn't seem.
Yeah, the center of the
It's kind of one of those, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So far, it's been working. Nicole and I worked with Laura Parsons, the city of Fort Townsend, with the timing of route deviations, bus stop closures on Discovery Road. We also went to the ribbon cutting. I didn't dance in the street. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah.
What else have we got here? Oh, the other thing, so to talk on kind of what John was saying, where Jefferson Transit isn't lining up necessarily for schools. Nicole and I had a meeting with Dunia Fox, the Chief Planning and Advocacy Officer at Jefferson Healthcare. So there are some routes that don't quite line up to help healthcare workers get out of their cars. So that's another reason why I'm excited about this operation analysis, because these same routes have been going for, well, since 2016 and beyond. So it's time to relook at trying to get people out of their cars, have a better option, so.
I know, that's our largest employer.
I will say one some pushback we received was the amount of walking that one would have to do to get
From Sims and
Main
Hendricks
Street?
to.
from, yeah, so our QFC stop on Sims, that was proposed as kind of a barrier, that walking from that bus stop to the hospital. And I think that actually lends itself to maybe a cultural problem that we have, in that if you can't park right next to the door
Quarter
that you
mile.
wanna go in, that sometimes transit
Not that-
isn't an op.
Also,
Is this
most
like-
of the routes that stop at Hendricks, don't they turn on the Sheridan and go right for the hospital?
It depends on the timing.
Okay.
So there is some, but there is an early morning. There is a little bit of a gap, but there, you could get off at Sims and Hendricks and walk, which is the point. A lot of employees are walking from the other side of 11th to get to either the clinics. You know, they start at that 7 to 3:30 or those hours. So, but I think both Dunia and Jake were like, oh, well, that's a good point, because Jake lives across, and he says, I use that intersection. I walk to work. So it was just a really good conversation, because they're doing their Park Less Wind Big campaign because of the construction project. So it's nice, again, to have transit in the conversation with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for being at the table always.
How is it going with construction on 104 in general? You know, is
They
it
are
disrupting?
clipping along.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So not too disruptive to the 7?
No. I mean, I think the timing of it with the summer traffic is tricky, because we're not gonna be able to pick that apart. I think the interesting thing will be the roundabout that goes on at Shine and what that looks like. But if people will have lots of practice at roundabouts, because they will have no choice but to use the new one when we deviate, so. I think it's a good thing.
I think that roundabout at Sheridan is really gonna be a game changer for our Paulsbo, heading to Paulsbo. That's just a really dangerous intersection, and we talked about we don't want it to run left, and that's one of the most dangerous interchanges that we have. So that kind of roundabout, I think it's gonna really be great for us.
I used to get to work that route.
Ridership, so you have the board's reports, and I know we're taking too long. So I am excited about the Kingston, because it's ticking up. And it'll be interesting to see through this period of, are there Port Ludlow people jumping on this bus, because now it's just right down. So we're gonna be kind of looking at that, but it's picking up, and that's exciting. And I love the summer that we're connecting with the Kingston Pass Ferry, so. J-Talk is still struggling a little bit. I would like to spend more time in trying to get out there more, but we're on this hamster wheel of just not having enough drivers, and it's extremely time consuming to onboard new drivers, and we have a new class coming up. We just graduated 4, and we just had to hire 2 more, so that's another 2 months of training. So fixed route, we're kind of holding steady, not quite back to 2019 averages, but it's picking up. With that, I'll hand it to Sarah.
Alright, so on the mobility end, We are in the midst of training a new dispatcher, Alana Olson. She's our newest dispatcher, but she's been with JTA. She started as an operator in 2023. So it's been really great that she already knows, everybody has connections, understands the routes. So it's been a really positive impact in the dispatch department, and we look forward to moving forward with her. We began the procurement process for the paratransit software. That was a mouthful. We're having conversations about, what it's going to look like in the bigger scope, getting the CADVL, the possibly on demand at someday, in keeping with our ADA paratransit. So we're still meeting to kind of come up with a really good plan for how we want to move forward strategically and make sure it's a really great process and we're not missing anything along the way. Because I don't want to have to do this again anytime soon. So we also had a campaign to boost rider alerts, and it's just a great way to communicate in the moment if something's going on, if there's a delay. So we put out an ad for some new subscribers, and we were really excited that it increased by 34%. The new people signed up for it essentially. So we're excited, and I'm going to continue exploring different ways to get the word out about that.
Where was the ad?
It was in Facebook. It was a paid ad, and it was a paid ad. And we've also put it in our phone message as well. So when you call, it says if you're looking for information, this is a route to do it. So if anyone's ever questioning or asking, definitely let them know how they can sign up for rider alerts. We'd appreciate it. For community outreach, I attended the the Port Townsend Vision Workshop for the comprehensive plan. That was very enjoyable. It was hands-on. I like to go into all the different booths and connecting with the community, so I appreciated that. We had the Job and Trades Fair at the Jefferson County Job and Trades Fair. That was over at the school down the road, and it was a good way to connect with some students, let them know that they can either come in if you have some entry-level jobs, but also that if they are getting jobs, then they can take the bus to get to the jobs. So we also attended the 2024 Roadie Festival. Fun day. I'm glad we missed some rain, so it was positive all around. The Mason Street project, we already discussed it, so we're forever, looking to make new community connections and how we can get our name out and help when big projects are being planned. And I also attended the Community Transportation Association. It's a mouthful, CTA Northwest. It was a great opportunity to get with some other operations managers and other people within especially the mobility side of operations. There were a lot of discussions about rider accessibility, diversity, equity, inclusion. Just really great for making some connections, a lot of great learning opportunities, and seeing how we can benefit and bring some of those ideas back to JK. If you have any questions about the ridership, I won't go into it because I know we're running behind, but let me know for Dial a Ride.
Well, I have several medium-sized projects going, along with a couple of larger, just update on a couple of larger capital projects. Our facility maintenance building over here, it's still in the permit phase. They're still asking for some more clarification on things, but it is clipping along. We do have our septic permit for that, so at least it's moving forward. Our third bay is what I'm most excited about, because Barker Creek, our project managers, have already put out for bid for our construction. And so we're hoping after they get all their bids in and finalized, and August 1st should be about the time that they're picking a company to come in and start construction on that. So after August, we will get quite busy at the other end of the building. It's a lot of fun to try to figure out how we're going to be moving vehicles through the yard when we have construction going on in part of the yard also. But we're really looking forward to that one. Some of my more, I guess, medium-sized capital projects are ones that I'm working on just to keep our facility up to date and looking nicer. We have to recover our wash tent. We're resealing our park and ride and restriping. And then our other one is our security camera system up here at 63 Four Corners. So that'll be 3 projects I'll be having my hands in. Now that it was passed through the consent agenda, now I can call everybody back and get appointments, and I think a lot of these are gonna be running consecutively. So I'll be pretty busy here for a while, but all great improvements, because it's so needed. Unfortunately, our training class today was canceled. I had to reschedule, but that will go on when they can get that rescheduled. Kids Up Transit has been wonderful on extending that invitation to us. This is a class they paid for their group over there, for their technicians to learn about this braking system. And it was nice of them to say, hey, we've got some extra spots. Would you guys like to come on over? Free of charge, just come sit in. We've got the places. Yes, they've been very helpful, especially since we've got the electric buses and talking to them and everything. That's been really great. And we just have the one opening still for a maintenance cleaner out in our maintenance area. So hopefully we can get that filled soon and we'll be back up to staffing. I don't know if anybody had any questions on any of these.
Update on the electric bus?
On the electric bus itself, on why it's not moving. We are waiting for a part from Gillick. There is a warranty part they were waiting for. Unfortunately, they had a component shortage at the manufacturer. At first, they were saying end of July. I just got an update today that they heard from their manufacturer that they have the component, they're gonna start building. Not a firm date on when we're gonna get it, but it's gonna be way before the end of July. So as soon as that's
It doesn't have
in.
anything to do with the electrical part of the bus.
It does not. It's a steering gearbox. Yes, it's a steering gearbox. So one of the few, other mechanical portions of that. But if it wasn't for that, it would have been out on the road. Yeah, but we're trying to get that back out there.
Okay, do we have, there's Debbie Yockey up there, great. Debbie, would you like to give us a tag report?
We should give her our update too. About tag.
Okay.
We should update her that
Oh, yeah,
we actually
right,
took
right.
tag too.
Debbie, are you there? She's still just
So
getting
it
on.
looks like Debbie has 2 attendees.
Yeah, we're not sure which one is.
Try promoting the second one.
There's a chat there, I see. Do you look at that?
That's
That's
David
Gabe.
Faber, he had to leave early.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you could chat with Debbie about to accept her.
Decline to be promoted.
We could, would it be appropriate to go to public comment and back to tag? Is there a problem? Can we check for public comment online? That's the only place there would be public, unless John's got something to say.
We have a patient wishes to make public comment.
You do?
Yes.
Great.
Looks like it's Margaret.
Hi, Margaret. We'd love to hear your public comment. Thanks for the letter before.
She's gotta unmute.
Looks like Debbie's unmuted now.
I think
Oh, I just had to unmute. This is Margaret. Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Margaret Lee. I'm a long time transit rider. I just have a couple of brief comments. You discussed the move of the transit stop on Tyler to Taylor and the bulb out. And you mentioned the difficulty for people walking uphill in that area. I think a much more crucial and important aspect of that bus stop is that presently the bus drops riders in the street. That's been going on for several years on Tyler Street, in the middle of the street. But it's particularly difficult in the dark. And sometimes cars are approaching on Taylor. the downhill street from Aldrich's, Taylor. And here you are dumped basically, you can't tell how far the ground is away. There's no way to drop the ramp to get off. And all I can say is dangerous. In fact, I'm quite sure it's illegal to drop passengers in the middle of a street. The other quick comment is your meetings are very full. There's a lot going on. I look forward to you once again having your meetings every month instead of every other month. I think it would give us, particularly those of us who tune in, a better opportunity to catch up on all. You have a lot going on. It's hard to keep informed. Thank you for your work on our behalf.
Thanks for your public comment, Margaret. And I don't know if, did you hear earlier in the meeting us addressing, that Nicole addressed your letter from the previous time? I was hoping she caught that part.
Yes.
Great. Okay, anybody else?
Maybe this is online. Debbie.
Okay, Debbie, it's your time to shine.
Debbie.
Can't.
But whichever version of you, there's two of you out there, but it's okay, we'll take either one. Hands up. We're ready for you in case you can speak. It shows unmuted on our end here, at least one of you. The version with the hand up.
It says she's rejoined.
Okay, might be three of her now. Next. Can we hang up on the other ones? Or?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
We can now.
Now we can.
Okay.
I'm using two different computers and neither one of them would let me in. I am very sorry. This is Debbie Yonke for TAG, and you're already late, and so you probably don't really want to hear from me, but thank you for promoting our new TAG member, and thank you to board member John Nowak for being willing to participate at TAG, as well as Kate Dean. It's really helpful to have a board member for guidance. John's comment was highly relevant and appreciated about working more closely with the school districts. This was very visible in a Discovery Road celebration for a safe new route that provides access to elementary students with sidewalks, two-way bike paths, and 3 transit shelters. And Amy, I also did not dance in the street. And unless you have questions about our report or our minutes, you are over time and you don't need to hear from me, especially since you just waited 4 or 5 minutes for me to try to get in. Thank you.
Well, Margaret stepped up, so. Any other questions for TAG?
Thanks for the report. Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, it worked out. I think that's it, right? So we'll check on that missing anything. I didn't do the whole spiel for public comment, but I think we did it all right. Okay, so we are ready to adjourn. So I adjourn this meeting of the Jefferson Transit Authority Board at 3:28 p.m. Thank you all.
All right. See everyone in person.